Let's dive into a pretty fascinating case of cyber espionage that really shows you just how incredibly clever modern hackers have become. We're not talking about brute force here. No, we're talking about a group that's built a whole new set of tools designed to be like ghosts in the machine, bypassing security to steal some seriously valuable data. Okay, so let's start with a little puzzle for you. Imagine you need to copy a file, but something like Microsoft Outlook has it open, so it's locked. You know the message. Windows just says, access denied. It's a basic fundamental protection. So, how would you actually get around that? Well, a pretty sophisticated hacking group, they go by the name ToddyCat. They didn't just find a way around it. They basically turned the solution into a weapon. They solved this exact problem, and what they can do with that solution is, frankly, a huge concern for just about any organization out there. So, who exactly is this group? Let's get to know the subject of our story today, the cyber espionage group known as ToddyCat. First thing you need to know, ToddyCat is not new to the block. They've been around since at least 2020, going after organizations all across Europe and Asia. And man, are they evolving fast. Just look at this timeline. Earlier this year, they were using known security flaws. But then, just a couple of months later, boom, they're rolling out a brand new set of custom-built tools. This just goes to show you they are a persistent and constantly developing threat. All right, let's get into their toolbox. Let's look at their first major technique. You can think of it like a full-on data heist, and what they're targeting is your most sensitive browser info, basically your entire digital footprint. Now, to really get the heist, you have to understand the vault they're trying to crack. It's called DPAPI. The easiest way to think about it is like Windows' own built-in security guard for all your personal data. It encrypts stuff like your saved passwords and all those website cookies so that other people or other programs on the computer can't just read them. So bottom line, to get the goods, you got to get past the DPAPI guard. And this is where you can see their brain power really at work in their evolution. Their old tool, it had to run right on the victim's computer, doing the decryption right then and there. That's kind of noisy, it's risky, and it's way more likely to get caught. But the new version? Oh, it is so much smarter. It runs remotely, and get this, instead of decrypting the data on the spot, it just steals the encrypted user keys. They can just take those keys and unlock everything later, on their own time, on their own machines, leaving almost no trace behind. Super stealthy. And what are they after with all this? The crown jewels of your online life. We're talking your browsing history, your login cookies, the things that keep you signed into sites, and of course, all of your saved passwords. With this stuff, they can literally become you online. And they're not picky. They're hitting all the big browsers, Chrome, Edge, Firefox. It is a total data grab. Okay, so next up is the technique that answers that puzzle I gave you at the start. You know, how to copy a locked file? This is how they break into your entire corporate email history. So the target here is something called an OST file. And really the easiest way to think about this is like a local backpack for all your emails. Microsoft Outlook keeps a copy of your whole mailbox right there on your computer, so you can check emails even when you're offline. But here's the catch. When Outlook is running, it keeps that backpack locked up tight. And this is where it gets just truly ingenious. Their custom tool, it's called TCSectorCopy. It doesn't even bother with the operating system's rules. So instead of asking Windows for the file and being told no, it just goes a level deeper. It treats the entire hard drive as just one giant block of raw data. Then, it reads the files sector by sector, piece by tiny piece, straight from the disk itself, completely bypassing the lock from Outlook. Once they have that raw copy, they can put it back together and read every single email. So at this point, they've got your browser data, they've got your local emails, but what about the cloud? That's where everything is today, right? So let's look at their third technique, which is all about getting long-term access to Microsoft 365. To get into cloud services like Microsoft 365, your apps use something called an access token. The best analogy for this is a temporary digital keycard. When you log in, you get this token, and for a little while, it proves who you are without you having to type your password in over and over again. Now, for an attacker, stealing this token is like snatching your keycard right out of your pocket. They can pretend to be you and get into everything you can. So ToddyCat's first attempt at this was pretty direct. They used a known tool called SharpTokenFinder. Its job is basically to scan a computer's memory, specifically looking inside the Outlook application for that super valuable token. A pretty straightforward approach. But it didn't work. In one of the cases the researchers looked at, the security software on the machine actually did its job. It spotted the shady memory scanning and just shut it right down. So round one goes to the defenders. But ToddyCat didn't just pack up and go home, and this is where their adaptability really shines. They switched tactics completely. Instead of using a tool that looks malicious, they used something called ProcDump. Now, ProcDump is a legitimate, trusted diagnostic tool made by Microsoft itself. System admins use it all the time. They use this trusted tool to take a complete memory snapshot, a dump, of the Outlook process. And because ProcDump is a legit tool, the security software just let it run. It was the perfect disguise, hiding in plain sight. Once they had that memory dump file, they could take it offline, analyze it on their own machine, find that access token inside, and voila! They had the keys to the kingdom, full access to the user's Microsoft 365 account. So when you put all of these pieces together, you start to see a picture of a really, really formidable opponent in this constant cybersecurity cat-and-mouse game. So what makes them so dangerous? It's this killer combo of tactics. They're stealthy, stealing encrypted keys to do all the dirty work offline where no one can see them. They're ingenious, bypassing fundamental OS protections like it's nothing. And they are incredibly adaptable, switching to a trusted tool the second their first attempt fails. And it's all laser-focused on one thing, getting their hands on high-value corporate data. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The security researchers over at Kaspersky, the ones who analyzed all these attacks, they said that ToddyCat is in a state of constant development, always looking for new ways to hide what they're doing. This isn't a threat that's standing still, it's a constantly moving target. Which really brings us to the final critical question that this whole situation raises. We've just watched ToddyCat evolve right in front of us, turning legitimate tools into weapons and just sidestepping standard defenses. It really makes you wonder, in a world where the attackers are this creative and this persistent, how in the world do our defenses even begin to keep pace?